Within the first 90 days, we want to make sure that our reps are, number one, creating pipeline. So that's a key metric. Number one, they're creating pipeline. Number two, they're developing pipeline. So we've got pipeline creation and pipeline development. Those are two big things that we're looking to do. We want to make sure that they're creating new opportunities with potential customers, and on those specific opportunities are actually moving them forward. Now that's pretty aggressive inside a 90-day period, but let's kind of work through what that would look like on the whiteboard. Well, in order to be able to develop a deal, number one, you've got to be able to create a deal. So let's make develop this specific bucket. And when I think about developing deals, ultimately it ends in closed won business. So these are the stages that something moves through in order for us to win the business. So in order to develop pipeline, they've got to create pipeline. So we're going to say they have to create first. That's number one. And once they create it, then they develop it. All right. In order to be able to create pipeline first, there's a couple of things that need to be true. Number one, I have to understand the market. Who are we actually serving? Who are the specific customers that we serve in the marketplace? If we don't understand that, there's no way that we're going to be able to create opportunities, except if you're in one of those situations where everything continues to come inbound, people are ready to buy, you're order taking, and you're just moving people through the process. There might be, I would hope that you take some time to understand the market before you do it, but there are some things that we don't really need to understand about the market if we're working at In-N-Out Burger, and what we're doing is we're taking orders as they come through. I mean, we know, broadly speaking, we make hamburgers and people eat hamburgers, and that when people eat hamburgers, it's because they're hungry for hamburgers, and when they get hungry for hamburgers, it's because they probably didn't eat for a while. But anyway, let's understand the market first. Number one, understand the market. Who are the actual customers? And I like to understand this both from an organization, because I do tend to focus on B2B perspective, so type of companies, and role perspective. This gets into that whole ICP type stuff. So in order to do this, I'd have to set up some kind of training, some kind of opportunity for them to learn some pieces around the market. So in order to be able to do this, let's build this on a foundation of training. Now, some of that training may be synchronous, where we're doing it together, and some of it may be asynchronous. So some of it might be in real time, and some of it might be on-demand video. Now, for me, I have a lot of video content. So if there's something that I want to help somebody learn about, or kind of get train someone on something specific, I might send them to do videos that I've created around conducting outreach, or identifying your ICP, or some of the questions that relate to building an account plan, that problem-solving template, so that we understand from the customer's perspective, what are they trying to solve. So there's some training that needs to happen in that first phase. The other thing that's going to be really important, and it's one thing to train people. Once you take that information in, it's important for you to start to put it into practice. So there might actually be some role play instances that happen here. And a third one might be some shadowing. Okay. Part of the onboarding process includes some kind of training, so that we're putting people in a position where they're going to be successful when they both create opportunities and then ultimately develop those opportunities. So we do some training, training specifically on the market, some role play, and some shadowing. Those will be really successful things in that first 90 days with the individual. And ideally, this is the stuff that's kind of happening in those first couple of weeks that they're working on. So that's one piece relative to the market. The second piece is relative to our own process. And this is the pipeline development stuff. Now, process without context is going to be really hard to train someone on. It's going to be hard for the learning to stick if we don't have the right context there. So here, what I'm looking at doing is sharing our sales process, validate, qualify, fit, identify fit, confirm fit with the client, proposal approved, close won. Make sure that sales process is understood. Now, here's the cool thing about doing that from a training perspective. We can train on the sales process and then show it in the context of technology. So process and tech. That means HubSpot. So we're working at making sure that people are familiar with how does HubSpot work? What are the stages inside HubSpot? What are the dashboards that we're looking at to determine whether or not things are working? If they're not working, what do we want to change? If they are working, how do we move those things forward? I'm taking a lot of information we talked about yesterday in those big buckets and figuring out, hey, in order for someone to be successful for this first part, there's got to be some training. In order for them to be successful for the second part, there's got to be some training. And in order for them to be successful across all of it, there has to be the technology stuff, the system stuff that they have access to. This stuff's complicated. It's hard. Think about how much time, energy, and resources you're wasting out there by not having an effective onboarding program to help people get to the point where they're making an impact as quickly as possible. Now, depending on stage of people that you're bringing into your organization, you may or may not need all of these layers. If you're recruiting the younger workforce that's coming out of college, you're going to need more than this to help them move along. If you are bringing in people who've been in the market for a while, you might need to just communicate things in the context of how we do things the way we do things inside our business. So we talked about tech, we talked about process, we talked about market training. The other piece that we want to do is make sure that we've got the organization stuff. There are a couple of things that come into play when we're talking about the organization piece. Number one, what are our values or guiding principles? For me, I like to use guiding principles because those can help people make decisions out in the field. Okay? I like to use guiding principles. How do we actually make decisions? What's important to us? For me, it's understand the customer better than they understand themselves. It is deliver the solution in the context of what's important to the customer. Set expectations and execute flawlessly. Don't limit ourselves based on preconceived notions, and don't make our problems the customer's problems. So have our guiding principles laid out. That's the organization stuff. Who are the people inside the business that they're actually going to interact with? Who are the people connected to the functional areas of the business that they do work with? So we've got tech, we've got process, we've got people, and then we've got training. Guiding principles, people, and then this is one that I think a lot of people miss on. And there's the market information about the people that we serve. Why do those customers continue to work with you? So I'd add this one in here. Why do customers continue to work with us? This is a little bit different than how we make money. How we make money, that initial stuff that we deliver, ultimately, what's the thing that differentiates us in the space and makes it so that customers want to continue to work with us? This is an example of what I might bring together in an initial onboarding program if I'm bringing a new account executive into an organization. The structure is I'm focused on my objectives. What do I want to be able to do inside that first 90-day period? What are the core components of being able to do it? How will they do it in context? And what do we know about the specific organization? If I have those pieces together, the likelihood of success for the individual is going to be much higher. If I don't have those things together, the likelihood of success is a bit lower. I'm leaving things to chance. If you've got questions on this, please let me know what those questions are. Happy to go a bit deeper either into this piece, which is what onboarding an AE might look like, or maybe what we do is we break things down into the specific parts and say, hey, what are the individual questions that we need to ask in each stage as things move along? Actually, that's what I'll do tomorrow morning on the Whiteboard Wednesdays. We'll go deeper into this. Hit me up with your onboarding questions before tomorrow morning, and we'll make sure they get into the video. And if you know somebody who's struggling with this, share this video. It might actually help them. And if you're in the middle of an onboarding process, share this video. It might help those people too. You can find your catalyst at findmycatalyst.com.